Now I would like to show you some NURB tools, just a couple of some NURB functions that you may know about, but I just want to review here very quickly. And I'm going to go into surfaces, just so I have the surfaces menu open, and I'm going to create, first of all, I'm going to go into a I'm going to go by tapping my spacebar. I can go into these other views, and I'm going to go into a front view, and I'm going to go create, and I'm just going to create an EP curve tool here that you know about. I'm sure some of you have known that, and you can with the EP curve tool is that you can draw a curve using the EP curve tool, and I'm drawing just a shape like that. Press enter, and I have my curve made here, and I'm going to make just kind of a fun little shape here. If I go into a right mouse over that, go into control vertex, I can go and I can play with these control vertices a little bit. I can adjust the shape. I can, if I press the X key, which is snap to grid, I can snap that to a point on the grid. I can do the same thing with the bottom here, and I can kind of mess with my shape here. I don't really know exactly what I'm making here. I'm just making a fun little shape, and I'm going to bring that out like that. It's just going to be like a weird bottle or something like that. Now I'm going to deselect that. I'm going to go back into object mode, and with the curve selected, I'm going to go into my perspective view. Let's look at my perspective. I have my curve selected, and I'm going to go to edit curves. And is it edit curves or is it surfaces? It is surfaces, excuse me. And I'm going to, with the curve selected, I'm going to go to revolve. I'm going to open up the option box, and I'm revolving on, the default is on the Y, and it's going to revolve on the center. It's going to start it at 0. So if I do a revolve there, it's going to basically like lathe a shape. Whatever, it's going to follow the length of that curve, and it's going to make kind of a shape like a bottle or whatever you want. Now I've made this and I've looked at it and I'm like, well, okay, that's pretty good, but I want to make some changes to it. You still have the power to play with the shape a little bit, and I'm going to select that surface, that NURB surface that was lathed around, and I'm going to put that in a layer, and I'm going to make that non-selectable. But I'm also, and let's just make it invisible, I still have the curve there. So if I select the curve and I go into component mode, so right control vertice, and I make that that lofted surface visible, and I can't select it, I can still mess with the shape, and I can play with my original shape here, and I can go and I can find, sometimes it's hard to find those points because they're buried down into the surface there, but you can definitely have a little bit more adjusting power here. And I'm not really making anything in particular again, but I'm just showing you the power of this tool, and you can have some fun with that. One more thing I want to show you just kind of quickly is another NURB modeling technique that I like to use a lot, that's similar to this, but it's just another technique that you can use. And I'm going to deselect that. We can go and, oops, sometimes these things don't deselect. It's going to that, and let's just put that in a let's just make that invisible so it's just out of our way. And I'm also going to select that curve, and I'm going to right click over that layer where that surface is, and I'm right click over that, and I'm going to add that object, and now both that curve and that surface is in that layer. Now I have a fresh slate here, and I'm going to go into my curve. So I'm going to create a NURB primitive here, and I have interactive creation turned off because I don't really like it, but it's good for some things. But I'm going to create a circle, And that's going to give me a NURB curved circle right at the bottom here. And these are used for a number of things, but I'm going to show you just a little technique here. So I start with a circle here, and it's right on 0, 0, 0, right on the grid there. And with that selected, I am going to Control D. I'm going to duplicate that, and now I have 2. And I'm going to move that a little bit up like that. And now that I have this curved circle, here, I can start to build things off of that. So I'm going to bring that up a little bit, and I'm going to duplicate that again. Control D, and I've duplicated again. I can move that down, and I'm going to make this a little bigger, like that. And I'm starting to build like a symmetrical shape, like that. So I'm going to choose this one here. I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to move that just up a little bit like that. I'm going to Control D again, and I'm going to build a little shape like that. Let's build this up like that, a little bit up like that. And again, I'm not making anything really in particular. This is good for making like banisters for stairways or chess pieces or round symmetrical things like bottles or whatnot. And I'm just going to keep duplicating some circles here, and Control D and make another one. And I'm just going to start to, as I go, I'll just make it a little bit bigger here. Control D, I'm going to duplicate that one, bring it up like that, duplicate it, bring it up like that, and I'm going to scale it down. You know, you may want to have some fun. I'm going to make an ellipse here and bring it like that, and I'll just do a couple more. Bring it up like that, and one more just for the heck of it. Build one more, bring it up like that. Okay, so now I have like this this series of NURB circles going up to the top like that. So what I'm going to do is very carefully is that you want to select each one of these curves in order. So I'm going to get the selection tool, and I'm going to shift click. I'm going to start with the bottom one here. I'm going to shift click up in order. You don't want to skip around. You want to select them. Oops, I deselected that one and I selected that one. And I'm going to go up all the way to the top, to the last one there. I have them all selected, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up in order, and then go to surfaces, go to loft. And look what I have here. I just lofted a surface that goes up, and who knows what this is. It's just a fun little thing, but you know, again, it's good for making symmetrical things like bottles or chess pieces or things like that. And I've made this NURB surface. Now, again, like before with the revolve, I can put that in a layer there, and I'm going to make that non-selectable. And I can still do some adjusting. If I grab those curves, those original curved circles, I can still do some little modeling around and kind of mess around and play around with the shape here. As you can see, you can make some hard surfaces there like that, and you can you know, kind of adjust your shape. So now let's just say I like this shape. I've got something that I want, whatever it is. It's just a weird little bottle or container or something like that, and then I select that curve. I'm going to make it so that curve is selectable. I select that curve there, and I'm going to delete history on it. So I go to edit, delete by type, delete history, and now when I've deleted history, those I'm going to make that non-selectable again. Those original curves that I put in there are not going to react with the shape that I made for it. Now, without history, I can no longer mess with the shape. But I'm happy with this shape. I'm going to shift select all those curves. I'm going to delete them, get rid of them. And one more thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select the shape. This is a NURB surface right now, and we want to, if I go into modify, convert, oops, cancel that. I hit that button too quick. Go to modify, convert, and I'm going to convert NURB to poly. Let's go to the option box and just look at a couple things here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that it's all quads, so it's all four-sided polygons that it converts to. And you can play around with these numbers. It's going to, you might have to mess around with some of these settings here. Again, it takes a little trial and error, and I go apply. And when I applied that, that converted that NURB poly, that NURB surface to a polygon. One thing you have to be aware of, and again, I don't know why it's not doing this. Oh, there we go. I'm going to move the poly surface off. It still keeps the NURB surface there. And you can still have this NURB surface. It just basically it converts it and creates another polygon surface. And if you can see, there are a little bit of things here that are wrong. It's not exactly what I want because it's not all quads. There are some n-gons, some overly you know, this is like a 6 or 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a 6-sided shape. That's not really a 4-sided polygon. I'm going to just do one more. Go to quads, and let's go tessellation method. Number of views, number of V's. Let's just go to count, and it's just, count is at 200. Let's just apply it there. Let's just see what it does with this. And if I move that off, you can see that it converted it to just 200 polygons, but it kept them all quads there. Let's just do one more, and I'm going to up that to 400. And I think I want to keep it even, and if I go apply, and it's going to make a smoother polygon, a smoother model, but it's also keeping them all 4-sided polygons, which you want to do. And you could just keep experimenting. Let's just make that 800 just for kicks here. Let's apply it and see what happens. And actually you're getting a much smoother surface now. The more polygons, the more smoothest, but the more polygons, the more complicated the shape. And you can play around with converting your NURBs to polygons. You don't necessarily have to convert your NURBs to polygons unless you're going into a game engine or something like that. It's just something to know. You can keep all of your NURB models in NURBs and they'll work just fine for what you're doing. You can even animate them and do surfacing and texturing with them as well.